expression guerrilla publicity or guerrilla marketing. It was kind of hot a few years ago when it drifted over from America. So guerrilla marketing is pretty much unconventional marketing methods used to gain the maximum results from the minimum resources. Therefore, guerrilla publicity would be getting the widest exposure for the fewest amount of dollars. So you can tell your story in more depth and you get credibility sooner when it's reported as news. And as a web tool, it's fantastic because the web loves voluminous original content. So you can actually create viral marketing and viral publicity campaigns through the social networks and that sort of thing. So that's why guerrilla publicity is very clever. We're going to talk about some examples of that very shortly. Okay, next one. The next one. That's it, lovely. Okay, so let's talk about some great Australian and American examples. Now I'm going to talk to you about flip to the next one. The first one I want to talk to you about is the Air Force One being tagged. Does anybody remember this in the press? When Air Force One got tagged by graffitiists and it went viral. Basically what happened, Echo Unlimited is the founder of the graffiti heritage. He's quite an urban icon in America. And he set up a situation where he went to a jumbo jet graveyard, painted up a section of a plane like Air Force One, the president's plane, and then produced a video, a really shaky kind of night video, where they snuck in and they graffitiized "Still Free" on one of the jet sections here. You can just start to make out where it says "Still Free," but it was all kind of jiggly and hazy and dark and no one could get on, but they did it, right? And you hear all the voices screaming, "Oh, get down, we'll get caught," all this kind of thing. It was all staged. What they did then was to drop it anonymously, this jagged video, onto 20 websites, and within 24 hours it was the most discussed and viewed video on 3,500 plus websites. It got 100 major news appearances, it got 23 million unique visits in 2 days, and a 115 million plus audience, if you extrapolated that out, 3 Pentagon denials, 1 network documentary, and a 0 media spend. Obviously it cost them money to get the paint and get the people out there to do that and videotape it, but their media spend was 0. Now that is guerrilla marketing or guerrilla publicity a la American style, Texas style, all right? The other example is the Whopper sacrifice on Facebook. Now there's 2 aspects to this. One was the cancelling of the Whopper on the menu. Now, you can imagine the Whopper is a well-loved hamburger, and so what they did was to say that the Whopper was off the menu and it was discontinued, and then they filmed the results of people's responses at the counter when they said there's no Whopper, and people went hysterical, they went crazy, they went mad, and then they released it online as an ad, and the result of that was it won a Cannes Film Festival award, and the exposure that it got from that was really outstanding. The other thing was they did recently sacrifice 10 friends on Facebook for a free Whopper. You know, when Facebook was first taking off and everybody was trying to accumulate friends, the Whopper released this promotion. Mind you, it's got a stop put to it pretty quickly, but in the meantime it just went completely viral before Facebook put a stop to it. So they got some excellent value out of that. I mean, they were a little bit risky, a little bit edgy, but they got it done, right? So the thing is, you've got to have nerve to do some of these things, all right? Okay, next one. All right, this is, you guys wouldn't know about these guys. I went to America. I went to university in America, so I tend to use American examples, so forgive me for that because it sort of scratches an itch. These guys, couple of guys, are absolutely mad about bacon. They couldn't understand why everything in the world couldn't taste like bacon, so they invented a bacon salt. You know what 2 blokes do when they're watching television, drinking beers? Why can't everything taste like bacon? So they invented this bacon-flavoured salt, and they thought, how are we going to get the message out about this bacon-flavoured salt? We have no money. So what they did is they invested in a foam bacon outfit, and they would take turns to travel to the local footy games or regional football games, gridiron games, and they, do the equivalent of the Australian streaker across the thing until they became quite well known for this, and that's how they got. And everybody said, "What's this bacon strip running across the gridiron?" So eventually everybody Googled, they found out about bacon salt, and then they could tell their story. And then they've gone on to create a bacon-flavoured mayonnaise now. So I mean, it just goes on and on. So these guys, only a little budget to produce a foam bacon outfit, flying into each of the major games, but the audience is huge, and of course they'd get the coverage on TV and it would go insane. So these are ways of being creative and inventive to get response where you don't have little or no budget. Okay, sumo salad protest. All right, I'm sorry it's a poor picture, but that was the best one I could get. The sumo salad protest was quite interesting. Basically, it's an example of opportunistic marketing. The Victorian franchisees of sumo salad were needing a boost, and coincidentally, Krispy Kreme was opening their first Krispy Kreme store in Victoria. At the time, they thought it would be useful to beat Krispy Kreme at their own game. Now, Krispy Kreme in America spent the first 10 years developing their brand by using publicity techniques rather than paying for advertising. For example, they would announce the opening of a Krispy Kreme store, and then people would queue up for miles to get in and have the first taste of these Krispy Kremes, and that would create media attention and so forth. So they were going to create a use of PR that would beat Krispy Kreme at their own game. So at the time there was a groundswell about health issues and using Krispy Kreme, which they still do here in Australia, for fundraisers at schools. I don't know whether you're aware, but you can use Krispy Kreme donuts as fundraisers at school. So there was this all around this healthy tuck shop food and all this sort of thing. So they had an $8,000 budget, and what they did is they produced placards, they hired a minibus, they leaked it to various media and got them onto the bus, and they told the media that there was going to be a protest at the Krispy Kreme launch, opening of the store, and it was all staged. The actors who were the protesters, they produced the placards, gave them to the actors, told them what they wanted to do, and they got all the media on the bus, and the media was no the wiser, and as a result of that, they got 10 radio interviews for the sumo founders on the day of the protest. They got 4 national news stories. They got numerous press and magazine articles in the following week. They got approximately $500,000 worth of media coverage for an $8,000 investment, just by taking an opportunity to sabotage or ambush that Krispy Kreme. So you've got to have some chutzpah to try these things, all right? Next. Okay, so before you begin your strategy, you need to be aware of your environment. As I was talking about the opportunistic. You've got to be competitive, you've got to see what your competitors are up to, you've got to look at the community issues and concerns around your product or service. What's happening in your world? Try and start out with some great ideas. If you can't brainstorm by yourself, get some girlfriends or get some friends together and start brainstorming outside or inside, because you can become stale, as you well know. Just get some different people in to start brainstorming you and tell them, I want to do this, I want to create something viral, what could I do? And then you set the scene for them and let them go crazy. Bottle of champagne, chocolate, you go for it. Okay, consider what your brand is and your company values are. So what makes you unique, and what do you own in the consumer's mind? In other words, what word do you own in the consumer's mind? So how could you capitalise on that? The publicity strategy should complement your broader marketing strategy. You don't want to do something that is just so far of left field from what your principles and values are that it's inconsistent with that.